Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat, and I'm coming here with some pretty big Toonami news. As you might know, Toonami likes these news dumps on Friday afternoons, and this Friday was absolutely nothing different. So I'm going to lead with the big news, and that is Bleach Thousand Year War is coming to Toonami. It will in fact be here 12:30 a.m. on May the 17th, which is, if I recall, one, two, three, the fourth Saturday from now. So still a little bit of time. We're not it's not gonna be tomorrow, it's gonna be a few weeks, but it's coming, it's gonna be coming. Another little bit of tidbit of news is the week before that, May 10th, we'll at midnight have a new episode of Lazarus, followed by a marathon of the entire show. So I'm gonna go with the news people would probably want to hear my opinion more on, and that's about Bleach. And I've mentioned a few times that I occasionally look at Anime Core's weekly anime rankings. It's of course an unscientific system, and not too much should be read into it, but it does give something of a barometer of how people are generally feeling about anime at a given time. So it's a fair enough measuring stick. And Bleach Thousand Year War was persistently towards the very top, like half year ago, whenever it was airing new episodes. It got a few number one spots, and when it wasn't number one, it was still definitely in the top five. It is a very well regarded anime. I'm not even just talking about Bleach from decades ago. I'm talking about Thousand Year War. And there was one scene that went viral, and if you're a fan of Yoruichi, you know exactly which scene I'm talking about. And yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be amped for that scene to be put on Toonami. And in general, this is a very, 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 I can't say enough varies, solid pickup for Toonami. And it goes without saying. So it leads to this point where Toonami has been just absolutely lacking in terms of getting good, high quality anime onto the block. How did they get this anime? Because it really felt like this anime was out of reach. I think basically what happened was Toonami went to David Zaslav and made a damn good pitch. That's probably what it is. And the good news for Toonami is that David Zaslav is pretty favorable to them. He has stated in the past that he wants to expand the Warner Brothers Discovery brand when it comes to anime, which Toonami would be in the absolute perfect position to take advantage of. And I think we're seeing that little bit of synergy here. Although one can argue that some of the luster on Bleach Thousand Year War has worn off because, again, everyone who wanted to watch it watched it a few months ago when it was airing. And the question is, and this is always the question of Toonami, will people return to watch it on Toonami at a very specific time that they have no control over? That question remains to be seen. Another anime I thought of that thought was going to do insanely great ratings on Toonami but underperformed under pretty similar circumstances was Lycris Recoil. Lycris Recoil was thrown into, I think, believe the same 12:30 slot where it chronically underperformed in ratings. And I was shocked because I'm like, Lycris Recoil was a darn good anime. And to see how it would actively be, many times actively hurt the ratings for the night, kind of took me by surprise. And one possible reason why was the fact that everyone who wanted to see it had already seen it and not necessarily going to go back and watch it on television. Again, this is TV, not streaming, so you can't control what time it's on. You have to be there at a certain time. I mean, you can DVR it, and I am DVRing a certain little thing about Toonami this upcoming Saturday because it's airing at 3 a.m. because I want to give my own view on it. And don't be surprised if that little thing gets a nice little review sometime in the next week or so. Wink, wink. If you've been following Toonami news, you know exactly what I'm referring to, and I am very amped for that. But again, Bleach Thousand Year War coming a few weeks from now, May 17th, 12:30, and also Kyoto Saga of Blue Exorcist is going to show up at 1 a.m. I don't think people really care that much about that relative to Bleach being there, but I mean, this lineup feels a lot like what would happen if you have a really terrible baseball team, but the owner's like, I need to get people in the seats, so I'm going to spend an insane amount of money on one superstar. So then good, you have like one superstar, one okay player, and then a bunch of players who should be in AAA. That team will probably win 70, 75 games. But, some people will be excited. It's like, oh, we got this player on the team. We got this player on the team. That's what this lineup of Toonami reminds me of. You know, I mean, just a baseball analogy there. And another news is that the week before this, so May 10th, will begin with the sixth episode, I believe, of Lazarus debuting at midnight. Then the rest of the night is simply a marathon of the other 5 episodes of Lazarus. And maybe you shouldn't be reading too much into it. I believe the reason why is Blue Exorcist, the season 1 ends on May 3rd, and they want to gap that week because I guess for some reason they couldn't get the ink on paper for the rights until they recently, so that they could only show it the like another week afterwards, which is why we have this weird marathon week in between. Or in the case of what reminds me of Blade Runner Black Lotus, the ratings were so abysmal for Blade Runner Black Lotus that they just threw it everywhere. We got Friday night marathons, we got Saturday night marathons, we got Blade Runner 2049 air on Adult Swim, and it did nothing. No one showed up to watch Blade Runner Black Lotus. And again, the problem is these cable ratings are not willingly released anymore. Zap 2, I think, closed down, so we're not getting anything from them. So we don't have a good grasp on the ratings are, but the fact that they're announcing a marathon so soon and not waiting until like the end of Lazarus is a strong indicator that people are not showing up to watch it, especially because you spent all that money on it. You got Watanabe to do it, and the reception has been beyond me. It's been fairly mixed, admittedly more positive than negative. I think the general median review of that was better or more positive on it than mine was. But I'm just being brutally honest with my personal opinion. And I've been watching again. I mentioned Anime Corner rankings. I actually yet earlier this morning looked up for this most recent week, and of the 55 anime of the quote unquote spring 2025 season, Lazarus was ranked 50th, which for Toonami original standards is actually pretty decent. I mean, occasionally Toonami originals poke in the top 10, but they usually just are like 1 week or two, and then I mean, we have this tendency with Toonami originals where the first few episodes people like, and then a lot of people really are down on the rest of it. I think Ninja Kamui was the perfect example of that. I didn't like it, people liked it, and then a few weeks later, people like, oh, I guess that annoying orange cat guy was kind of right about it, wasn't he? You know. And I'm not gonna say I told you. I'm not gonna say in a few weeks I told you so, but I am getting every vibe that Lazarus is going to have a lackluster ending. Toonami originals always do. In fact, top of my head, the only Toonami originals I can think of that I had a positive opinion on the ending were and a Pirate Princess, which is controversial because a lot of people hated that ending. Fooly Cooly Alternative, and definitely Fooly Cooly Shoegaze. Outside of that, every Toonami original I either thought had a terrible ending or the ending was kind of meh, in my personal opinion. But again, maybe I am reading a little bit into it. Maybe Lazarus is awesome, and then Jason DeMarco snorts a line of coke, goes on Blue Sky for his like 5 people on Blue Sky, and says, "Screw it, Lazarus 2 Electric Boogaloo coming 2026," or something like that. But again, to sum up all parts from today's news dump, that is Bleach Thousand Year War is coming to Toonami. I am kind of surprised we got it. It is a definitely the best named news show we've gotten this year. And I have a feeling that in 7, 8 months' time, when I do my best of Toonami list, I have a weird feeling that Bleach being on Toonami is going to be towards the top of the best moments. That's just my personal opinion. What's your personal opinion? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.